But I'm sharing my screen. Steps in the informatica. Give me one more minute. I'll start one more recorder as well.
Okay.
Okay. Steps in the informatica power center. Okay. Code. Okay. So what is the first step? First step is importing sources or targets. So what are the various kinds of sources we discussed? Okay. So how to import a target? Okay. How to import a importing flat file. What is our source? I mean, we are doing one mapping for a file I have given to you, right? So first mapping is a stage mapping. Usually, how many layers are there? We have taken two layers: staging layer as well as a EDW layer, right? So in staging layer, what is source file? Target is a table, correct, right? So I tell you steps. Okay. Once if you open a designer, okay, just follow these steps, okay, and you will able to import the file, correct? Okay, importing files as a source. Okay, what are the steps for importing file as a source? First step is all about navigation. That's it. Okay, open the designer. Next step. Okay, open the designer. Okay. Go to source analyzer. To source analyzer. Okay, third step. Open the designer. Go to source analyzer. Import from flat file. Import from flat file. Okay, so these are all you need to do. Browse the file. Okay, this is fine. What I need to tell is here I wanted to explain a concept called ODBC. That's why. Okay,
Okay.
importing file, follow the steps. Okay, next, how do you import a table? Import a table. Next, see basically uh, why I am giving this kind of theory session, no? So of course it is somewhat not visible to you this time, but you need to understand few things. So file is a direct, okay? Where the files are located? Files are placed in the
Repositories.
no files. What is the file location?
Unix box.
Yeah, file system is always a Unix system.
Unix
Okay,
box.
fine. So in order to import a relational table, okay, actually any table is called as a two D table. I mean relational table. Okay, which will have a columns and sources. Okay. Ideally, you need to understand the ODBC. Did you heard that? Open Database Connect. Open Database Connection. Okay. So what is this? What is this is? In every database, actually, I told you, right? So Oracle table is a property of Oracle vendor, correct? Okay, SQL Server table, it is a property of SQL Server vendor. Okay, so whenever you want to, so with respect to the Oracle, Informatica is an external system, no? Correct?
Yes, sir.
With respect to Informatica, Oracle is a external system, correct? Okay.
Yes, sir.
File system is a local to every system. Okay. No need to much bother about a file system when you want to get any files. Okay. But in case of tables, okay, as it is an external system, you need to depend upon some other third person. Okay, say for example, so Informatica is residing at one server and database is residing at different server. So Informatica, you are working in a Dallas Informatica server and you need to get a table from the Washington server, Washington Oracle server. So ideally, as they are different vendors, you must depend upon the third person. So he can communicate. Okay, right? Suppose assume that you go to a different country where you don't know the language. What do? You will depend upon the translators. Correct. Similarly, so in order to get a file from the database, Informatica is depend upon one third person that is called as a driver. Okay, so the driver name is a ODBC. This is a drivers. Okay, this is a driver. Okay, from the database. Okay, this is a particular driver. What he drives? He drives the metadata. Okay, not data. Okay, he drives the metadata from Oracle to Informatica. That's what he do. So this driver is actually so a property of database. Okay, he will sit actually he stands in front of database whenever external system calls him, so he'll grab the metadata from the database and he give it to the external system. Got it? Okay, drive from database which drives the metadata from Oracle to external system. You are getting me? Okay, so for example, as a Informatica will go to driver and ask the metadata for employee table. For example, if your source is a employee, if your target is a employee table, correct? No. Now you created a table in a database. You are creating a table with 50 or 40 columns, no? So that metadata is available in the database. Now Informatica needs it. So what it will do? So it will go and ask the driver. Clear? So, if you need 10, 10, 10 objects. So what, for example, your external system is not Informatica. Assume that this is a different tool. Say for example, which one? Data stage. Concept is same.
Mm-hmm.
Test is also will go to the driver and he will actually request the driver to provide the metadata.
Mm-hmm.
It will not actually least bothers about data. So just what driver drives, just it drives the metadata.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. Because this is an important consideration in our work environment. Okay. It drives the metadata. Fine. So that's why very first step is a one-time activity. Once you one-time activity means Informatica has to create the driver. Okay. So uh, where can you find a driver is, so there is administrative tools in the mm, administrative create administrative. I'll show you. So there are administrative tools. You will see. Actually, every Windows have a lot of drivers. For example, if you want to, MS Access, right? Okay, MS Access is a database to the. I'm not able to collect it, but I'll show you. Okay, so MS Access is a one of the database for Microsoft SQL, Microsoft, right? So in order to get MS Access file also, a driver is available. In order to get a SQL Server table, one driver is available. In order to get a Teradata table, one driver is available. So actually this ODBC concept is available in almost all the databases. Okay, fine. So that's why what do you need to do now? Okay, okay. First step is, okay, create a ODBC. I mean, make him as a local to Informatica. That's it. Create a ODBC connection. Okay, create a ODBC connection. Okay, so very first, this is actually one-time activity. But fine. Actually, here I wanted to tell a practical scenario how it is looking like. Make a note of this point. Actually, the thing is, suppose uh, I mean you have a folder name, correct, right? So you will have a
Mm-hmm.
repository. Inside the repository, there is a folder name. What is the meaning of folder name? The folder name is same, correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
That too, the folder name is same for the all project members. Okay, there are 10 project members in the project. All project members are using the same folder name. All are connecting to the same repository. All are connecting to the same domain. Okay, and the same folder.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, all are accessing the same tables and the same files. No, correct.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, this ODBC connection is local to your mission. If you see folder, okay, the folder is actually common for all the project member, but ODBC connection is local to you.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose you and me are in the same project. Okay, so if I create a ODBC connection in my mission, okay, uh, with a name called X, assume you are creating a same ODBC connection, a name called Y in your mission. Okay, so and when you look at the overall project level, okay, for the same ODBC you will have two names. That is not allowed in a, that is not a best practice. It's not allowed. It is allowed, but it's not a best practice. What I mean to tell is, in the work environment, for all of the team members, okay, sure that you are using a only single ODBC connection. Just remember this, okay? Uh, because that will create a problem. So, on high level, if any some good Informatica expert will see that, he will ask the question, why for a single ODBC connection you are maintaining multiple names in the Informatica? because you create with name X and I create with name Y. So both will be appeared in the folder. I'll show you that point. Okay. So that's why for your project, all of the team members has to know combinedly use a single ODBC connection. Okay.
Okay.
Once now ODBC is connected. Tell me why. What will happen if ODBC is connected? You are actually from Informatica uh, will be able to get the metadata from tables. Okay. Then create a ODBC connection. Next step is, see, I mean, this time just assume the steps. Maybe you haven't seen, right? You haven't imported, right? That's why don't worry. Okay. So first you need to create a ODBC connection for both source or target. If it is a relational table, you need to create that. Then nothing is there. Then import the table by connecting database using ODBC. That's it. Okay, these are the two steps for actually creating in order to import a table. I mean, I told you, right? So we have a multiple tables, multiple sources or targets. The way is different because the source is different altogether. The file system is different and database is different, application is different, ERP is different. Okay, so that's why the steps are, the way you are importing is different. Once you import, that's it. Okay, so these two steps actually importing source and target. Okay, next step is second step, creating map. Creating the map, just it's nothing is there. Okay, so you need to just link the sources and targets once they are imported. Okay, so mapping is always follow the best map standards. Name of the creator mapping. Okay, first step is how do you create a mapping? Same, navigation is okay. Open the designer, open the designer. So second step would be go to mapping designer, or else open the, sorry, open the mapping designer. So inside the designer there is a one more tab called mapping designer. Then create a mapping from the mapping menu. Okay, so these are the steps you need to follow. Okay, it's just sequence of steps. Next, I told mapping is a linkage between, okay, source to target, logical link. Nothing is that, it's like a skeleton without any flesh. Okay, so during the runtime only your mapping will come into the picture. Next, third step is creating session. Okay, so creating session means, okay, so where do you create a session? Mapping is finished, then designer tool is finished. Okay, then you need to go to the create session in the workflow manager. First of all, what is a session? Okay. Session means these are the sequence of tasks. For example, okay, so this is a session. Actually, we have a 1 hour session daily for informatica class. Correct now? So you have a
Yes.
3 hour session for the movie. Correct. Okay. Assume, let us take a 3 hour session for your movie. So what do you do in that session? You will actually go to the movie, go to the theater, you will buy a ticket and you will watch the movie, you will come back. Okay, that will happen within your 4 to 5 hours of your movie session, right? Okay, so you will do a sequence of activities, sequence of tasks. Session is simply nothing but sequence of tasks. Okay. Similarly, informatical session is a sequence of tasks. That's it. What are the tasks? Session is a sequence of tasks to perform to create a environment for mapping run. It's not exactly running a mapping. It is creating an environment. Steps for creating an environment to run a map. Okay. So
Okay.
why do we need to run a map? So you will load the data whenever you run a mapping. Okay. So whenever you run a mapping, then what will happen? Okay. So mapping is looking like this. Source. We have a mapping sheet, right? Source, transformations, target.
Okay.
Okay. So data is residing in the source so far. Now it has to go to the target, right? How it will go? Because so far data is not loaded in the target. Mapping just created a skeleton. Okay, it didn't load the data so far. When data would be loaded, remember this point. Okay, when data is moved into the target during the runtime only. Okay, till runtime, so data is in the source location only. Just it is okay placed in the source. That's it. Okay. In order to run a mapping, first you need to set up a environment. Set up the environment means okay, creating a session. Really it is not running a map. Okay, just creating the setup. So what and all the steps you will do? You will do means okay, before you create any session very first time, okay, you have to uh, do some one-time activities. Okay, first time before the first run of any map, you have to make sure below things before the session creation, before the mapping, before the mapping run, session is created and it makes sure okay. First point, integration service connection. Don't confuse with ODBC connection and integration service connection. What is integration service? What is the use? What is the use of integration service? So integration service is responsible for okay doing the ETL activity. Repository service holds the data, no? So integration service is actually doing the mapping run. Okay. So without integration service, you will not load the data. That's what. It's not magic. Okay. Source data is there in the source. How it will not? Okay. It will not just go like into the target, right? So there is this is the backend program. Okay. So integration service, you must actually get the help of integration service in order to run the session. Okay,
Okay.
1 minute. Huh?
Mm.
Hello, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Uh, without integrate, you must actually integrations during the installation time. You will create integration service. Correct, right?
Mm.
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But in order to run this mapping, you need to create an integration service for database load. Okay. Informatica will directly put the data into the file. Okay. Okay, but for tables, assume I'm telling you, so always file system is local to your informatica, so you no need to worry much about when you're working with files. But
Mm-hmm.
when you try to push a data into the target, okay, or when you try to get the data, I'm speaking about data now. At session level, purely I'm speaking about data. Okay, because at session level only your integration service will be available. When you create a mapping, you are not aware about the integration service.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you want to get the data, ODBC server, ODBC connection won't help you. Okay, ODBC this driver is responsible for only metadata. Okay, this
Mm-hmm.
integration service is required in order to load the data, okay, or read the data. Integration service connection for database read or write.
Mm-hmm.
This is also one time activity. Okay, for example, let us take a somewhat extended case. There are 50 sources from 3 databases. Tell me how many ODBC connections are required?
Three.
How many integration service connections are required?
Means there are three ODBC, right?
Yeah, 3 ODBC. How many integration service connections? 3. Always.
Three.
I mean, no
Mm-hmm.
confusion. Uh,
Okay.
See, for each and every database, you need to create a ODBC connection for metadata and integration service
Mm-hmm.
connection for data.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll explain you how to create. This is these two are one-time activities. These two are specifically speaking about, okay, working with databases.
Okay.
Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Fine. But practically you will see. Don't worry. These are all one-time activities. Once you do it, even in your project time also, you will create only once. From there, you will start working.
Okay.
So how to create a connection means, okay, so do this activity in the very first day of your project. Okay, creating a IS connect, I'll call as integration services IS connection. So Open workflow manager. Okay, open workflow manager. This is step 1. Go to connection menu. Go to connection menu. Create the connection. Okay, fine. So these are all. Okay, this is a one step. For if your source is a file, what do? You need to provide the path of a file in the session. Okay, I'll show you how to provide the path of a file. So my motto is you have to understand what is session, what do you do in the session type. Okay, you will create a session and you will configure the sources and targets. Okay, that is nothing but configuring sources and targets means configuring integration service connection to the source or target. So configuring the file path for source or the target. Okay, so I wanted to make you comfortable with the what is ODBC and what is integration service connection. Okay, these two are very important. Okay, without them actually it is difficult to proceed. Next, what is next step? Next step is creating creating workflow means, see, workflow is really, so what you did in that session time, okay, you have created an environment, that's it. Okay, so it is not allowed you to really run the mapping. So without running a mapping, you will not actually load the data. So Informatica has created a, actually has given you a separate concept called workflow. Okay, so workflow, what is workflow? It is the object in Informatica or else component in Informatica to run the map. Not only run the mapping, there are some other activity. Basically, it is a component to run the mapping. So within the workflow only, you will load the data. So finally, in order to move the data from your source to target, import the source and targets, create a mapping means link. What is the column association between the columns? Then create a session. Then finally create a workflow. Then run the workflow. Okay. So same. How do you create? So okay. Open workflow manager. Open the workflow manager, then create a workflow from workflow menu. There is a menu called I'm sorry, workflow menu. Okay, so once you create a workflow then you run it. Next, right? Okay, so what do you say? Check result. Now you need to check the result, right? Okay, so where do you check the result? Okay, using monitor. Results are just it is a monitor. Okay, results are monitored in the one monitor. Results are monitored in workflow monitor. Okay, see, ideally in order to move the data, So how many tools are coming into the picture? 4 tools are actually working together. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a single tool. So I mean, are you getting any doubt in this case why 4 tools are required? Because of the maintenance only. Okay, if you see any other ETL tools, many tools are not like that. Within a single tool they are actually finishing. If you see SSIS, okay, in SSIS only one is enough. Okay, one tool is there, that is a management studio tool.
Mm-hmm.
One tool is running everything. But here, if you do this one, if you have multiple tools, okay, you will have a lot of maintenance. For example, you are getting a error saying that your mapping is
So
incorrect.
how can we combine all this?
No need to
How can
combine.
we combine?
No need to combine any tool separately. Okay. So work in this tool. Okay. So what you are doing in the designer,
Mm-hmm.
you are creating a mapping. In the session, you are creating a session for the mapping. So automatically that mapping is available to the session time.
Okay.
A link is established. No.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just in the same place you are creating a workflow. When you create a workflow, you will actually use the session inside the workflow.
Mm-hmm.
When you check the result, automatically that workflow is observed in the workflow monitor. So link, you will no need to create any uh, separate link. Okay, automatically the link is taken care by the informatica only. But these are the steps manually you need to do. Okay, so these are the overall high level steps. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but what are the best practices? I mean, always you have to concentrate on the best practices. Okay, best practices
Okay.
is, as per the organization standards, you need to create all the mappings and workflows. There are a separate naming standards you need to follow. Okay, I'll tell you. Mapping name must be like this: M underscore target name, M underscore activity. You have to use this kind of standards. Okay, so that M underscore activity underscore target name.
Activity.
For example,
Activity means.
I'll tell you. Okay. For example, you want to load a employee table. M underscore load underscore em.
Okay.
Okay, you are writing a mapping for inserting the data into employee. For example, you are doing the SCD, small m, not capital M. M underscore SCD2. SCD is a one of activity. I'll explain. Don't worry. M underscore SCD2 underscore event. Okay, you have to follow this kind of standards in your session creation. Example, session name example. S underscore, I mean different, these and all client will tell you. These are not actually a standard naming standards. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
mapping name is a
So
standard
each
name.
and every company has some standard
Yeah,
naming
they
convention.
have their own standards. No, mapping name is actually, I almost see all places it's a M underscore only, but some people will tell S underscore mapping name. But let us see.
Mm-hmm.
S underscore mapping name without session, without M, mapping name without underscore. So for example,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
for the same case, S underscore load underscore S is small, S underscore load underscore event. Okay, here the workflow name is WF underscore mapping name without m. So example, wf underscore load underscore, sorry, load underscore end. Okay. So these kind of standards you need to do. So how many things you are creating? You are creating a mapping, you are creating a session, you are creating a workflow. 3 activities manually you need to do.
Okay.
Okay. These are the activities for each and every code. Okay. These are the regular activities. It's a common activities. Okay. I have given 10 files to you and asking you to load a 10 tables separately.
Mm-hmm.
Then you need to think about a logic. One mapping is enough or 10 mappings are required. If 10 mappings are required, you need to do 30 activities. 3 activities for each. I mean, running is simple. Just you need to run and see. Okay. So you always actually take care when you work with the database. So when you work with database, you need to create you need to do one-time activities. At designer level, you will create ODBC connection. At workflow level, you will create an integration service connection.
Okay.
ODBC is same for the all team members. Even integration service connection is also same for the all. What is the difference between integration service connection and ODBC connection? ODBC is a driver. Altogether, it's a different one. Okay. Driver to grab the metadata. What is integration
Mm-hmm.
service? Okay. Integration service is a uh, responsible for doing the ETL activity.
Okay.
I mean, first get the terminology. Okay. Because you will see everything in the tool. Okay, fine. Now, uh,
Means graphical metadata.
hmm?
So you told me your database is a graphical metadata.
No, it will grab the metadata. I'm telling. I mean, it will fetch the metadata.
Sorry?
No, what I'm telling is it is grabbing the metadata. I'm telling. No, it's not graphical.
Okay.
Okay, just it is a metadata. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any doubts so far, just no any doubt, ask me now. No, not an issue. Because these classes, starting classes, I wanted to, spend some extra weight and
Okay.
just be a interactive like this.
Okay.
Okay. And also I wanted in the day one itself I wanted to tell you one more concept. What is that is parameter file types. Okay. So working with parameter file. Parameter file means I'll show you one parameter file.
Okay.
But fine, I'll create a parameter file. It's not a problem. You install Notepad++, install
Mm-hmm.
it, okay?
I don't have a notepad.
But install the Notepad++, okay?
Okay. Means for the informatica purpose?
No, Notepad++.
Okay.
It's a notepad, no? Notepad.
No, just I'm asking the purpose of that one.
Oh, it's just a notepad only. It's a another version of
Are
notepad.
we going to use anything for notepad?
No, no, no. We won't use anything, but you can easily, do some operations in a
Yeah.
notepad plus plus.
Yeah. Okay.
Copy pasting, those and all easy. That is very easy to. The actually advantage is it will open any kind of file. Okay.
Okay.
It is good in opening at least 10 crores, 1 crore records also. Okay, Notepad plus
Okay.
is very user friendly file. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I understand.
Parameter file is basically why it is coming into the picture is just simple. Okay, nothing should be hard coded in your mapping. Okay.
It will be also in the Unix books.
Hmm?
Parameter file. It will be also in the Unix books.
Yeah, we need to create a file. This is actually this is not any source file. Okay,
Okay.
but this is also will be available in Linux box. uh, this is created by the user. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This actually the motto of the parameter file is completely different. It is not a source or target file. There is no data, any data in this parameter file. Okay. uh,
Mm-hmm.
what is the use of this parameter file is there should not be any hard coded values. Hard coded values means, okay, um, I mean, why I'm actually making your life complicated now is because this is very mandatory activity. Okay, so once you understand this, it is very convenient. See,
Okay.
assume that my integration
Mm-hmm.
service name is ABC. Okay,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I created integration service connection. That connection is ABC. Ideally, you should not. You have to keep these. ABC is generally treated as a hard-coded value.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this ABC is treated as a hard-coded value. Such kind of hard-coded values are not allowed inside the project. Okay,
Okay.
you have to keep all those values in a separate file called parameter file. Okay, all the
Mm-hmm.
values, all the values which are used inside the code, which are used inside the code, must be parameterized. This is a thumb rule. Okay,
Okay.
so
Mm-hmm.
all the values means your integration service connection. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that is the basic. So far that is the one value. And
Okay.
if you observe the mapping document,
Mm-hmm.
can you see ETL load date? What is ETL load date? System date, correct?
Yes. Uh-huh.
If you open and see the mapping document, okay,
Mm-hmm.
ETL load date is system date, correct?
System. Yes.
For example, you will have a 1,000 records from your source. So for all of them, ETL load date is the same value, common value, right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
those values are called as a hard-coded values.
Okay.
Where do you define that value? Really, the best practice is you will define in a parameter file.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you one more scenario. My requirement is I have given you uh, employee table as a source for you,
Mm-hmm.
and I am asking you to filter the employee
Mm-hmm.
number one. Then what do?
Mm-hmm.
You will create a filter transformation, and you will give in the filter. I mean, assume. Okay, maybe this time the terminology is actually completely new, but let's assume. Okay, so you will write a code for filtering the employee number one, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Then what is the hard coded value here? One is a hard coded value. So you have to keep that value in a parameter file. Suppose One more example. I have given you a customer file and I am asking you to get the customer numbers from 1 to 10. 1 to 10 are hard-coded values. So do not use such values in a mapping. You have to keep it in a parameter file. Okay, that would be looking like this.
So what is the use of parameter file?
What is the use of parameter file means? Today, assume, it's a good question. I have created an integration service connection called ABC.
Mm-hmm.
What is integration service connection? It is a connection to the database,
Mm-hmm.
right? It is a
Mm-hmm.
connection to the database in order to read the data or write the data, correct? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There is a possibility that table is dropped in a current database and that is actually moved to a different database. Now it is in a database called A. So after some time, okay, client is not willing to work with the database A. He
Mm-hmm.
moved the table into database B.
Okay.
Then what you need to do, you separately need to create a integration service connection for database B. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
by the time what will happen, assume that you have created 100 sessions on database A.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and use that integration service connection in 100 places.
Mm-hmm.
Now database is changed. What do you need to do? You need to create a new connection called B, integration service connection called XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
ABC is for database A.
Mm-hmm.
Now this XYZ is for database B. Again, this database, this connection is used in the 100 sessions. Now, now this database, what is the table? Assume that the table name is T. Now this entire table is removed in the database A and it is moved into the database B. Now, so how many sessions are affected? 100 sessions are affected. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If there is no parameter file, what will happen? You need to go to the 100 sessions and you need to manually change ABC to XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
when you create a parameter file, you will simply change in a file. That's it. Nothing is
Mm-hmm.
there.
Okay.
The purpose of a parameter file is to achieve the
Mm-hmm.
maintainability. Okay, I'll tell you one
Okay.
more example. So there is a file. A file is now to assume that uh, generally Unix paths are like this slash user. You have a path called C drive, D drive. No, in your Windows, how it is
Mm-hmm.
looking that D drive. Okay, ABC folder. Suppose folder name, file name, like this file.txt. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but the paths in Unix are not looking like this. Okay, user
Mm-hmm.
sources. Okay, suppose
Mm-hmm.
our file is file1.txt or csv. Okay, don't worry, you will get comfortable learn all these things. This is the place.
Okay.
Now this is file 1. This entire path is hard coded in the mapping, so you should not allow the paths, hard coded paths inside the mapping. So this particular path is placed in a parameter file. Okay, assume that
Okay.
the file is changed from sources to source 1.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now file is changed from sources to source 1. Mean folder is changed. Earlier this file was in sources folder. Now it is in sources 1 folder. Assume that
Mm-hmm.
there are 200 mappings are using this file.
Okay.
what you need to do? Okay, you need to go to the session for this mapping 200 places, and you need to change 200 mappings are using means 200 sessions are created. For each and every mapping you will have a separate session. That's what we discussed now. Okay, so 200 you need to go to the 200 sessions and you need to change. But
Okay.
if you keep this particular path in a parameter file, just you will come and change in a only parameter file. That's why you are maintaining, you are actually controlling the code. See, uh, if you go to the production service, okay, in the production environment you will have a only select permission, you will have only read permission. You will not actually, in fact you have no permission to update or write or anything. Okay, so even if you want to go and change the 100 sessions in a production, that is not possible. That is locked in production environment. That's why. Okay, at least if you want to change 200 places separately, that is difficult also. You have no access to do that in production. That's why what the people are come up with, actually they'll create a parameter file. I'll tell you a sample parameter file. The parameter file is looking like this. Workflow name, session name, list of parameters. These are the, this is the basic skeleton of a parameter file. For example, okay, so this is the skeleton. No, I'm changing this. My workflow name is, assume that my load is a employee load. Workflow underscore load underscore emp. What is my session name? S underscore load underscore emp. First you need to, okay, mention the workflow name as the session name as a first line. This place has a multiple ways. Some people are using folder name also in front of it. Okay, there are multiple ways for this convention, but I am using the one of the way. Okay, so here you need to hardcode everything. Okay, uh, dollar input path input file name is equal to, assume that my file is in a user sources. I'll tell you the practical approach, but I wanted to make you clear that a concept called parameter file is existed. The parameter file concept is used to maintain the informatica code. Okay, so all hard coded values are actually vanished in the, I mean not allowed in the coding. So you have to keep all hard coded values in a parameter file. So file1.txt. I'm giving a sample process. Okay, whenever a file is changed, simply change the location in the path. Now this file is actually, the file is saved as a, assume it is looking like this. So workflow underscore load underscore emp dot parm. Okay, see, the name of the parameter file is like this only, dot parm is the extension. Okay, it will this is also in Unix box. This file also will be loaded in Unix box, but when you see the extension you will come to know, okay, this is a parameter file. Okay, so you have to follow this extension. Okay, and now file is created and use it at a workflow level. Okay, you will use that file in the workflow manager. Okay, so the details, entire thing, so from day one itself, my opinion is, from day one itself you have to follow the best standards. Of course it will take some time to understand this, but follow the best standard from day one itself. Don't create any hard coded values, always use a parameter file.
Okay.
So these many steps we have to do. Okay, uh, we will work with one thing tomorrow. Okay, one simple mapping. Okay. And
Okay.
fine. Now you just actually open the box. I mean just and think beyond the box. Okay. Mm,
Mm-hmm.
ideally, what is happening? So how data is loaded? Okay. What will happen
Mm-hmm.
when user is calling all these things? Okay. Remember, user is sitting here. User means you are a user of the tool. Okay. User is sitting in front of a client tools. Correct now?
Mm-hmm.
You are working with Informatica Power Center client tools only, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So client tools are. So whenever you are trying to load, okay, this client tools will call the integration service. Okay. Whenever
Mm-hmm.
client tool call the integration service, I mean, what I am telling, the backend steps of a workflow run. Okay. So first it will check the parameter file.
Okay.
Okay. It will open the parameter file. From the line 1, your integration service will get the name of the workflow and name of a session. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Mm-hmm.
it will go to workflow. From workflow, it will find the session. Okay. From session,
And on the informatica
hmm?
client tools means informatic tools
Yeah,
or
information client,
database.
power center, all those things are there. Designer, repository manager, workflow manager, workflow monitor. You are working with the client tools only, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you will not create any host or you will not create any domain. Those are all administration responsibility. But as a ETL developer,
Okay.
you are working with client tools only.
Okay.
You are working with client tools and you are actually loading the data. So during that time, what is happening? I'm telling. Okay, just
Okay.
simple flow. User is working with client tools to load the data. Then very first thing,
Mm-hmm.
user has to call the integration service to load the data. Okay, so integration service will go to the parameter file first. Okay, then from parameter
Mm-hmm.
file it will take the workflow name and session name.
Mm-hmm.
From session it will go to the mapping, then data loader.
Mm-hmm.
Why I am telling this point? No, the point of contact. Okay, the
Mm-hmm.
point of contact at each and every level you have to understand. Okay,
Okay.
for particular user, what is the point of contact? Client tools, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Client tools point of contact is integration service.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everything, when this integration service is down, all these will be black. Okay, always this integration service is up and running, you have to make sure. Okay, so then if you use a parameter file, it will go to the parameter file. From the parameter file it will go to, for integration service, who is the point of contact? Workflow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so workflow point of contact is session. Session point of contact is mapping. Mapping point of contact is sources and targets, ODBC drivers. Okay, so ideally once user start accessing the client tools, you will completely invisible all these activities. Okay, I mean
Mm-hmm.
internal mapping run and all you cannot see. Okay, but internally integration service is taking care about calling a workflow, session and map. That's what, it's a hierarchy is there. Okay, so first user
Mm-hmm.
will call the client tools. Okay, this will call the integration service. Integration service will call, assume that there are sequence of people are standing in a line. Okay, you will call the person
Okay.
before you, then you will call the person before you. Okay, something like that. Okay, always
Mm-hmm.
the mapping, inside the mapping
Mm-hmm.
Inside the mapping, this mapping will call the repository service. Okay.
Okay.
Repository service will make the environment for all sources and targets. Okay. Then run start. Whenever run is starting, what will happen? So record is fetched by the one by one record is fetched. Finally, load will be finished. Once load is finished, mapping will actually send a signal to session. Session will send a signal to workflow. Workflow will send a signal to the integration service connection. Then your process will be closed. Okay, things are like this. Okay, this is a very, it is looking like a very small discussion, but this is the best way to understand the workflow. Many people will ask you, this is a many I faced that kind of question so many times. Okay, how your parameter file is working means, so who will this is parameter file is altogether a separate file, no? Correct, right? Actually this is a notepad, simple notepad. In this notepad we are giving the details about informatica code, correct? No, you are taking a code control, complete code control into the small file. So this file must be, this file is, for example, if this file you are mentioning emp1, then your integration service is looking for emp1, no? So this is so powerful. Okay, so how that is happening? How the parameter file is uh, handled by the integration service? That is so important. Okay, so from the integration service is responsible for identify the workflow name in a repository, identify the workflow name inside the informatica from the notepad, correct? Okay, integration service will take this file, will take this name, and it is looking into the entire informatica server. I mean entire informatica code, correct? No. So how it is happening? How it is happening means, is all actually by using a inbuilt threads in integration service. I told you, right? DTM. DTM is a, sorry.
So, so there is an inbuilt service. We
Yeah.
don't do anything with the
Yes,
integration
exactly.
service.
Okay, so this is the inbuilt process that will take care about all. So now in the workflow you are identify a session. Okay, how the session is identified? By the repository service, correct? No, where all these names are stored, this workflow name, session name, mapping name, all are stored in the names, are located into the names, and its details are located into the repository service. Whenever, okay, integration service is trying to fetch the details of a session, it will go to the repository service. It will call the repository. So what I mean to tell is, overall the picture is, whenever data is being loaded, okay, your integration service and repository service should communicate each other. Okay, so whenever a name or details of a particular object is required, integration service will call the repository service. Fine. Any confusion? Maybe theory is with confusion, but what I mean to my motto is, you have to understand the back end process. Then only you will get a control on many things. Okay. Once you understand the process, then you can easily debug.
Intuitive and can be more comfortable to understand.
Your voice is breaking.
It's the activity, right?
What?
So from the client to subparameter work, file workflow session mapping, it is a day-to-day work, right?
Yeah, it's a day-to-day work. Daily you need to do this work. For every simple work also, even in order to load a single record also, you have to do this step. Okay, so these are the 4 steps regularly. Don't worry. Within now, if you practice once or twice, you will get a good grip on that. Very first time it would be difficult. Okay, so these 4 steps you need to regularly do. Fine. Okay. Now, what is the next step? Next step is a testing. You know, right? So how do you test using SQL queries? That is there. Before that, did you get any chance to create the mappings? I mean, create the table? I have given few comments on a table, right? Table names.
Yes, yes.
You corrected, huh?
Today I did not get chance. Today I did not get
Okay,
chance.
not a problem. Take your time. But before
Mm-hmm.
you start code and make sure that table is ready.
Yeah, sure.
And I'll give you, I have given one more file now. Okay. For that file also create the table.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay, sure.
I'll actually give you few exercises to work on it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me stop this recording.